Woody here with the Grand Rising morning message for Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. In a book called Source and Significance of Coincidences, the author talks about an event that happened to a Dr. Andrew Paquette, which he wrote about in his memoir called The Dreamer. Paquette was playing backgammon with his wife when he suddenly had the intuitive conviction that they were about to roll matching descending doubles from 6 to 1. He announced his conviction to his wife, and then they proceeded to roll the dice. His wife rolled double sixes, then he rolled double sixes. She rolled double fives, then he rolled double fives. The pattern continued until they both rolled double twos. At that point, Paquette was aghast at the extraordinary improbability of what had just happened. He began to doubt that they would be able to roll the clinching pairs of ones, and he told his wife as much. The next two dice then showed non-matching numbers. Although Paquette and his wife didn't roll matching numbers all the way down, as it seemed that the streak was broken at the matching ones that should have occurred, they still rolled the first 20 numbers of the sequence Paquette had predicted. The odds of rolling any particular 20 number sequence on a fair six-sided dice are probably 1 in 3.7 quadrillion. So it was pretty unlikely that Paquette and his wife would make that particular series of rolls at that particular time. Being a lover of all things mathematics and statistics myself, I can appreciate this particular example because, in fact, yes, 1 in whatever quadrillion is actually the true number because you're going to multiply each probability by each other until eventually you reach this point where you almost reach something that's almost impossible to happen. It's nearly zero. And a lot of skeptics, when they dismiss precognitive dreams, they usually do it under the law of large numbers, and that somehow coincidence can happen, right? Maybe sometimes someone gets something incredible, like winning the lottery. But even though the concept of coincidence could play a role in understanding precognitive dreams, and the law of large numbers could suggest that with the vast number of dreams and individual experiences over their lifetime, covering so many different topics and scenarios, that there might be a probability of occasional coincidences occurring. I don't know if I buy the whole idea of dismissing it so quickly, right? In other words, they're saying that if you have a large enough sample size of dreams, it's natural to expect some instances where elements of a dream do align with future events, and it's supposed to be purely by chance. Yet somehow I've found that I started having precognitive dreams, even though I am a lover of all things statistics. And while I can understand why people would view these dreams with a skeptical lens because of this principle, I think that using the principle this way is in and of itself very subjective and not particularly objective, considering all things, right? Because when you think of the statistical likelihood of such occurrences, that the dreams contain vague or symbolic imagery that can be subject to interpretation, that's really only applicable when it's just something completely vague or obscure, right? Like when people talk about, oh, you know, if you describe something vaguely enough, it'll probably happen, right? But do people actually talk to people as to how specific their predictions might be? Because for me, I find that in the past decade or so, I continue to have more and more precognitive dreams, and I don't understand why. But that's what the exploration of spirituality is all about, right? In other words, I've turned to spirituality because I seek to understand, and I went to ask people in my family if any other people in the family had precognitive dreams. The answer was no. So I don't know. I don't know what explains that type of phenomena. But I will say this: in terms of this whole vagueness idea, here are the last two predictive dreams that I've had. The first was a dream that somehow I was back in New York. I was born and raised in New York City, of course, in Brooklyn. And that at some point while I'm in New York City, I get a job working for education, in fact, some sort of job within the school system. And I seem to be elated as I'm announcing to other people that, oh yes, I got a job. And this is an easy job. The school is across the street from my house. I mean, what are the odds? That's such a wonderful thing. I literally just have to walk down the street and cross the street, and I get to my job. It's right there. I don't have to drive. I don't have to take a train or a bus. It's literally right there. And I just thought it was such a strange dream. I was like, why would I be back in New York? Why would I be happy about a job working for the school? It none of it made any sense. I mean, currently I work as an attorney in the court system. So I don't know necessarily that I'd want to take a job working in the school system, particularly not in New York school system. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but it just seems like an odd choice of things. The next thing you know, I have lunch the next day with a friend of mine, and she's telling me she's had a conversation with her friend who lived in Washington D.C. and that her friend was basically raving to her about the fact she's got a job working in the school system, with a job that's really like right up the street from her house, like literally across the street from her house, and how it's so great that she doesn't have to travel and that she doesn't have to do anything, that the job is right there, right by her house. And I just think, whoa, okay. So the pattern that seemed to me that was emerging here was that my dreams would predict a future conversation, and that somehow I'm the person who's speaking what this other person is saying to someone else, someone that I'm connected to. And I thought that's a really strange pattern. Why would I even dream that way? It's like I'm almost taking on the identity of someone else and talking about their experience. And so I just said, well, okay. I mean, I've had quite a few dreams that predicted the future before. I guess I'll chalk this up to it. This is another one. But I think the universe really wanted me to understand the nature of this precognitive ability that I have, as if to say, well, you continue to doubt it? Let me give you another example. And so, sure enough, a few days later, I had a dream about spiders. I dreamt I was with my sister, and I was talking with her about spiders, that we were in this dark room, and that somehow, there are these spiders all around. And now, here's the funny part. I love spiders. I mean, yes, obviously, when you see them, they're a little disconcerting. They can be scary looking with the little spindly legs and spinning their webs and everything. It's natural to have a fear of spiders, right? But I also understand the fact that they're a necessary part of nature, that they actually do more good than harm in our society, and that we actually have an irrational fear of them. So I don't kill spiders. You know, I try to avoid that at all costs. I mean, when I was younger, yes, I did used to kill spiders, but now I try to avoid killing spiders because I recognize that they just want to coexist just like we do, and they have a right and they have a place. And as long as they stay out of my way, I stay out of their way. But in this dream, I wasn't like that. I was like, oh no, I got this. Don't worry, I'm going to kill this spider right now. And I proceeded to try to kill a spider in the dream. And I just thought, what a weird dream, because it's again showing me in some weird capacity where I'm doing something that I normally would not, and I'm saying things that I normally would not. So sure enough, I received a phone call from a friend of mine. I was about to watch some YouTube videos on my television, and I look right above me, and there's a spider. And I just think to myself, of all things, I mean, I've seen spiders before, but to have one just appear right above me was extremely strange. Especially considering the fact that I haven't seen spiders in my place in months. In other words, I know they're probably around, but they're usually good at hiding themselves and staying out of my way. So the fact that I just happened to come across one that's right above my head, absolutely fantastic, right? It actually kind of creeped me out a little bit. But nonetheless, I left the spider alone because, again, I told you, I'm no spider killer. So then I mentioned it to my friend on the phone, and I say to her, yeah, I saw this spider above my head. It's so weird, and I had a dream about spiders. And she's like, oh yeah, oh, I love killing spiders. It's really great. I wish there were one right now and show you. And I'm just like, that kind of sounds like the words that I said in the dream. And I just thought it was weird that particular, sequence of events. Seeing the spider, having my friends now parrot to me the words that I had said in the dream. I think the universe was again trying to tell me something. And the thing is that obviously it would be great if something like ESB or precognition was a useful ability that we could control with some sort of regularity and consistency. Then, in fact, when people do conduct experiments, they'd actually be able to produce results that science would probably find more acceptable at this time, right? But so far as I can tell, we don't really know how we get these precognitions or what triggers them, how they come on. We just don't have a lot developed in that area, and sometimes it just is seemingly random that, and therefore capable of being somehow scientifically explained away or dismissed. But I think it's kind of a reminder to us that we don't know as much as we think we know. We always love to say, "Oh, science, science, science." You know, things that are measurable, things that are observable, things that are testable, things that have a hypothesis in which you can either somehow uh, fail to reject the hypothesis, or somehow reject the hypothesis, and then therefore that experiment that we conduct tells us something that can be achieved through this sort of sterile process that we can show that it occurs again and again and again, so much so that we know that, okay, this is a natural phenomenon in our world. This is not just a fluke event. But there's a lot we don't know. And scientists will tell you there's a lot we don't know. But of course, the answer to that will be, well, still, we only want things which are relatively provable, which are relatively acceptable, which become accepted by a very large majority of people in the field. And unfortunately, that's the thing about things of spirituality, things of faith, is that we're just not going to be able to do that with the pinpoint clarity that we'd like to see. Anyway, that's my Grand Rising morning message for Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. Um, Thank you for listening to me, even though it seems like a little bit of rambling today, but nonetheless, I did want to share this experiences with you because the bottom line is we should not take away that air of mystery, that air of just things that we can't explain in this world, because that's what makes this world very fantastic. That's what makes this world a reality that things aren't always what they seem. So let's not dismiss ourselves just because other people keep telling us, "Oh no, that's not possible. Oh, that's a fluke. That's coincidence." I beg to differ. And if that's what it takes to believe in certain things, that's what it takes to believe in certain things. Some certain things we're not going to be able to put in a textbook, to have a scientific theory about it, something that's proven and there's an accepted consensus about it. It's just one of those things that is just part of life that can't be explained. And you know what? Maybe we should leave it that way. So have a wonderful day. Continue to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for supporting my channel. And have a wonderful, excellent day.